Yesterday we were talking about something called as heritage of India. And we had come to know about a fact that since Stone Age, that is approximately 4,500 years ago, we had seen the civilization being present in India. And when the civilization, that is the Indian civilization, mixed with the rest of the world, we got something what we call as the Indianization of India and the world. A brief idea was also taken into account about India, its land and size, where we had talked about how starting from the northern border of Himalayas to the southern border of Indian Ocean, we have got all those unique things which the world can boast of. Anything you talk about in the world, as far as landform is concerned, we have got it. The loftiest mountains, the cold desert, hot desert, valleys, plains, plateaus, coastal areas, archipelagos, everything God has given to us. And this is the reason why we had been making ourselves one of the pioneers to lead the world as far as heritage is concerned. When we talk about the heritage, something which has been passed on from generations to generations. And this has resulted in the formation of something called as culture. We had discussed about the culture to be the sum total of the habits. Now, habits is something which you carry out on day-to-day platforms. Your values, what you consider good, what you consider bad, the customs. There are certain traditions which we follow, which has been passed on from one generation to another. The various traditions, the conduct of lifestyle of humans, this whole things when it's placed together, we get something which is called as the culture. And we can boast upon, फकर महसूस कर सकते हैं, we can think about it, we can talk about it, that our culture is the most composite culture. Every other country or every other people in the world, they try to pick up those things from us. So meaning of the culture, which I have other day also talked about, to be a one mark question which can be placed as definition or the blank. It is a simple way of life. आप कैसे जीते हो? So it makes the changes that occur in life, social rules, regulations, different societies which have been just attached with one another. Moving to the topic which is called as the cultural heritage of India. So from culture, we are moving on to something which is called as the cultural heritage of India. Heritage, when we talk about, is something which is passed on from our ancestors, forefathers. Now here, forefathers, I have noticed not many times you make a mistake, it has to be F-O-R-E, पूर्वजों से, हमारे ancestors से. So they have passed on certain information, informative substances, knowledge from one generation to another, and for that we talk about as the cultural heritage. As I have mentioned, we see the people living in India since Stone Age. You might have gone through this particular topic otherwise also. Stone Age was the ancient most point where civilization started, which led to metallic age. We started using copper, bronze, iron, and now we are living in a mineral age. So starting from the Stone Age till the present mineral age, people had been thriving, surviving, enjoying their life in that big area which we call as the subcontinent of India. In everyday pledge we carry out in the school, we say, I love my country and I'm proud of its rich and varied heritage. So that rich and varied heritage is what the topic is all about, the cultural heritage of India. So in this context, heritage is any precious gift which has been passed on to us by our motherland, that is India, or from our forefathers. Two things combination. So we can combine the two words together. The two things can be the heritage, can be cultural, or it can be natural. Because I have just mentioned about that heritage is the precious gift which has been passed on. So Mother Nature has also passed on something which is called as the beautiful mountains. It has passed on something which is called as the big beautiful rivers which are perennial, पूरे साल बहती रहती हैं. They have given us the mountains, they have given us the forests, they have given us the plains. So this is a heritage passed from the nature. And apart from it, we have got the heritage, as just we were talking about the culture, those informative parts passed on from one generation to another. And this is going to be going into the detail, because the heritage of India can be consequently divided into two major sections. One point it talks about is the natural heritage of India, which we will be going into details bit by bit what all is present, and the second will be the cultural heritage of India. So when you talk about the natural heritage, one by one we'll pick it up. The natural heritage of India is because of the close relationship between the nature, that is the environment, and the human life which has survived there. Very common thing to understand. We talk about the nature and the people living in their proximity, जो उसके साथ में है. So natural heritage of India is unique. The word unique means unparalleled. You will not find this natural heritage. I have been telling you time and again that we will not find this sort of natural heritage anywhere in the world. Certain countries, they have got a lot of snow, but no sea. Certain countries are all surrounded by the sea, but they don't have the snow-capped mountains. Certain areas, it is all desert. Certain areas, it is all grassland. But nature had been really happy with us to provide all this information, provided all these things simultaneously, and hence we can call it as unique and varied. It's not only one thing which we have got. We have got, starting from the northern part of India, the Himalayas. Southern, I have got is the Indian Ocean. On the western side, I have got is the desert. And eastern side, I have got is the dense forest. Evergreen, dense forest. In between, I have got is the plateau and the plains. So this unique and varied feature I was talking about, it includes the mountains, the forest, the desert, the rivers, the streams. We talk about the seas, the oceans, the plateaus, the plains, all which are present. So we are the children of the nature. It is that beautiful arrangement of our food, which again is going to vary from place to place. You are going to find different cuisine in Ladakh, a different cuisine in Tamil Nadu. So different food is provided. Water, fresh air, the different types of housings, the place where live. So God has given us all those things which cater our need. जो कुछ मुझे चाहिए वो सब उसने दे रखा और अलग अलग दे रखा. We treat nature with respect. Every particular house, I hope so, you might have come across, will be having a plant called as tulsi. This is a love towards the plants. The example of our close relation with the nature, they can be attributed in the stories of Panchatantra. You might have read, or you might have learnt about the Jatak Katha. English will be calling it as Jatak tales. The folk stories of ancestors passed on from one generation to another. How the love for the nature was seen. Our classical and folk music, this is all based upon the Prahar. Now Prahar is something which an old method of calculating the time was there. In Hindi you might have heard about Do Pahar. So what is it? Basically the whole day and whole night are divided into 4 Pahar each. Pehla, first, do, teen, char, day over. Same day, night is also divided into 4 pairs. Overall, the whole 24 hours can be attributed to be divided into 8 prahar. So these period of the days has been noticed in various ragas which have been given. Simultaneously, nowadays, we are going through a phase which is called as the corona phase, the COVID. And this COVID has made us go back to the basics. We tend to go for something which is called as the Ayurveda. Again, Ayurveda was possible only because the nature has provided us with ample of the nature's love. Those various plants. In coming chapters, we will be learning about, a special chapter is dedicated about India's contribution towards science and technology. We will be learning exclusively how the people of ancient time really banked upon Ayurveda. So this natural heritage of India can be further learnt about in various sub-segments, smaller parts. The first one happens to be called as the landscape. A lot of you might have gone all the way down to Goa, might have gone to Saputara, Mount Abu, might have gone to Nashik. Now, the reason I'm mentioning all these things is the landscape varies. Certain places we happen to find mountains, certain places it's the plateau or the sea coast. So beautiful landscapes are generally formed due to the different shapes of the land. And these different shapes, we can call them by different names so that we can understand. For example, Himalaya is a landscape. The plains starting from Punjab till West Bengal is a plain area. Coming down from Madhya Pradesh till Tamil Nadu, we have got as the plateau. So this is again a landscape. And we can understand that the nature has provided us with ample of landscapes, abundant. And everywhere we are going to find certain 1, 5, 20, 100 and thousands of usable vegetations. Minerals are also given to us in abundance. Because of this different or varied habitat, strange birds, animals, small mountains, big mountains covered with snow, brimming rivers, full of water, pani bahar nikalta ja raha, perennial, round the year. They are also seen out there. Forest of Terai. In class 9th you had learnt about the physiography of India, where we had learnt about a region called as Terai, just at the foothills of Himalaya, Shivalik ranges. So those are the places of very importance. Then we have got in abundance the pilgrimage places. You've got Badrinath, Kedarnath. So these are those places where people go and visit the shrines, find the answers to their questions of soul. We have got high mountains like Nanda Devi is there. We have got Kanchenjunga is there. And since ancient Himalaya has a greater importance for India. Lower class we had learnt about. Himalaya, had it not been there, we would not have been receiving that ample, plenty of rainfall in India. First thing. Second, had Himalayas not would have been there, the cold air from Central Asia would have penetrated deep down into India, making it uninhabitable. So, God has given that in a form of a crown to India, which is protecting the people of India from the harsh climatic condition. The next topic which we have got, apart from landscape, the rivers. We had been talking about the India to be an agriculture country. Predominantly agriculture being the main occupation of plenty and plenty. In fact, to be very precise, plus 60% of India's population, they are in agriculture. And the nature has given us those rivers which flow throughout the year, bringing that much needed water for our survival. So here, rivers have been providing the natural way since ancient times. So transportation was carried out, water was utilized in various activities. Indian culture has flourished on a river bank. In the starting, I had talked about this civilization. This civilization survived on the bank of Indus. Even today, you are going to find that all the major cities in India, in fact it is true for the world also, they are on the bank of one or the other river. So this is the importance. Had those rivers not been there, that survivability would not have been there. So we have got those river banks on which the big cities, the civilization existed in since ancient time. We have got the rivers like Indus, Ravi. Here a pronunciation to remember. It is written as Ravi, but the pronunciation about it is Ravi. Rivers like Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Indus, Narmada, Godavari, Krishna, they have profoundly influenced the people of India who had been living on its bank. Rivers are the source of drinking water, without which we cannot survive. They are also the source for the domestic use, be it bathing, washing clothes, utensils. It is also going to be used in irrigation, that is supplying the water to the agriculture field. It is going to be used for the production of electricity, though a new method, but without water, those perennial rivers, it would not have been possible to produce electricity. And mention not to the least, we use the big rivers like Brahmaputra or the Ganga for waterways. Again, this thing will be getting covered in the coming chapters. So beside this, man was dependent on river to develop industries. Example is clay utensil. Purane samay mein, we never had utensils made up of steel or aluminium. It was all clay utensil, and this can be only manufactured on the banks of river. Plastering, building of houses. So, had it not been there, the rivers, all these things would not have been possible. Rivers, water have made the human life beautiful and prosperous. Landscape scenes at dawn and dusk are remembered about. Remember about those small time paintings which you used to do when you were in class first, second, third, fourth. What we used to have? Those mountains being drawn, a river being drawn out of it, few birds flying in the sky, the sun is setting or rising, whatever you may call it, few plants. A normal phenomena of every child's first colored paintings comprised of one of this particular object. So just imagine, we never created now, it had been passed on from generation to generation. In that scene which I am trying to explain to you, you can talk about that mountains or landscape, to be very precise, and the rivers, how beautifully they form a part of our life. So once landscape and rivers are done, we move on to the third thing, which is called as the vegetation. Believe it or not, we are all vegetarian, directly or indirectly. And same applies to all the animals. And vegetation cannot be grown unless and until that place is suitable for its growth. So the people of India, they had that love for the environment, and proof is that they had that affection towards the flowers or the shrubs, the herbs, which nature had given to us. Humans, animals, birds, they are all dependent on this vegetation for their food. Some are directly, that means you are going to eat the spinach, palak khayenge, or you are going to eat something which has already eaten that vegetation. So it is a chain cycle which is going to be seen. And had it not been possible for the vegetation to be grown, survival would not have been possible. Certain plants have been given some extra value in our day-to-day life. Example we have got is that banyan tree, peepal tree, sweet basil, tulsi jiska. I had mentioned sometimes back. They are worshipped in India. So it is not just dependence on those particular plants we are talking about. We do tend to worship the plants also. That is the high value we have given to the vegetation. Cereals, all those pulses or oil seeds, green fields, which actually talks about our prosperity. This has been present in India since ancient time. Various medicinal plants. Again, in coming chapter you will be learning about our ancestors has given to us an estimate of 2000 medicinal plants which can be used to cure our general ailments. हमारी कोई भी बीमारी के लिए 2000 पेड़ पौधों की जानकारी दी गई. Use this thing for this problem, use that thing for that particular problem, and so on. And obviously, a few of them which we even today very commonly use is Harade, Amla, Beda, Aloe vera, Neem, Tulsi. So we still use them. And obviously, apart from all these uses which we have got, certain have got their own decorative points. Like we have got the rose, we have got lotus, mogra, that is jasmine, sunflower, champa. These are the ones which have been a part of our life in a day-to-day manner. So thus, social and religious life of India, both social, our society, religious, that is your internal feelings, how to find the God, is greatly influenced by the vegetation. And again, it is a heritage which we Indians got, but from the nature. Once we come to know about the landscape, we find that there is plenty of rivers which provide the ample of water, the various vegetations which are growing. The next most important thing which happens to be present would be the wildlife. So unless and until I don't have the landscapes, I don't have the rivers, I don't have the vegetation, I cannot have the wildlife. So again, those wildlife which is present in India stands unique. You will not find all of them to be present anywhere else except for India. All. So in India, with animal lover culture, tiger, lion, elephants, rhino, rabbit, python, snake, mongoose, keep on naming them. You are going to find in and around your surroundings or the various forests which still are existing. Asian lions in the world, they are only found in India in their natural habitat. You can find the Asian lions in lot many zoos. But in case you happen to visit Gir, you will find it roaming in its natural home. Our religious beliefs has given the status of god, goddesses, vehicle to some of the wild animals. Like we have got the tiger, we have got peacock, alligators, eagles, etc. They have been associated in our religious ceremonies also. Our national currency, which is highly valued by having figure of a lion, horse, elephant and bull. This particular topic had been asked in the previous years. What all is comprised on the Indian currency? So please remember, we have got one is lion, we have got the horse, we have got the elephant, and we have got the bull. And this all comprised of Ashok's thumb. In case you happen to see on your any note which you have got it, you are going to see it, those 4 animals being present. So furthermore, to protect the wildlife reserves are created and even laws to protect those animals have been implemented, which have been modifying time and again so as it becomes more stricter, more useful, and we are able to protect those wild animals which seems to be in danger nowadays. So overall view, what we have learned, in the natural heritage of India is, first of all, the landscape. Followed by it, we had is the rivers. Followed by it, we had done is the vegetation. And finally, we had covered something which is called as the wildlife. Now, children, we will be moving on to the second aspect of the heritage, that is the cultural heritage. And it is being repeated time and again that cultural heritage is all those things which have been passed on to us by our forefathers. So that club, that sum up is going to be seen out here. Cultural heritage of India. India has gifted to the world a diverse and rich heritage. When I say, or when it is written in your book, gifted, that means no other civilization in the world had got that privilege of using this particular word for themselves. We tend to be the pioneers, the leaders of providing the diverse, rich heritage, not only to the people living in India, but also to the people who came in contact with us, where we moved on and they came in contact with us. Cultural heritage is a man-made heritage. When we say man-made, that means something which I have started using and has just simply passed on to my next generation. They are going to absorb in their life and further they are going to pass on. So they are going to add certain things to it. They are going to work upon certain things. The previous knowledge, the new knowledge, all clubbed together, passed on to the next generation. Same is the process keeps on going. And fortunately for us, it had been going on for quite some time. And that some time is 4,500 plus years. We had been adding to information which we had been receiving from our forefathers. And in case the definition comes again for a 1 mark question, whatever we receive or whatever is received by us, that is the humans, because of his tact, because of the wisdom, because of the art and skill, will be called as the cultural heritage. So 1 mark question out there, how you define a cultural heritage? The answer says whatever is received, whatever has been gained by us the humans because of the tact, the wisdom, the art and skill will be called as the cultural heritage. Starting from Aryans who came down to India thousands of years back, Kshatrap, Kushan, Huns, Persians, Turks, Arabs, Mughals, Britishers, French, Portuguese, Dutch, they all came in contact with this civilization and they took all those good things and brought certain things from their society, mixed it up, and we became that rich society which we are talking about. A single word for it is amalgamation, mixture. Our own knowledge, which was abound, plenty of it, and then certain people came on coming, bringing their bit of knowledge, mixing with this vast knowledge of Indians, and we got what we are now feeling proud about, the cultural heritage of India. Obviously, it was spread over years, but the end is good. So people of India from the prehistoric period, we don't have any history knowledge about when, from where they came, how they settled out there. Starting from that particular time till the time we started noting down the history, people have been contributing to the world who were based in India. The art of architecture, sculpture. We have got the proven record, some existed all the way 5,000 years back. बहुत सारी मूर्तियां मिली हैं, बहुत सारी कलाकारी ऐसी मिली है जिसको जब स्टडी किया गया तो पता चला कि करीब 5,000 साल पुरानी से चलती आ रही. So they had worked upon it. The remains of Indus Valley civilization, one of the ancient most civilization existing on planet Earth. We find the remains of the figures of gods and goddesses. Through excavation we have found it. The humans and animals and several other toys, their remains. Sculpture of bearded man, very important point. There is a picture also given of a bearded man sculpture which we have dug out during the excavation of Indus Valley civilization. People, they make us feel proud that even 5,000 years back, the people were genuinely in a position to create this sort of master craft, in spite of they never had access to those machines, computers, but they were able to do it. And this tells us how advanced they were than the rest of the world doing all these activities. Further, when we look at the figure of bullock or lion on inverted lotus of Mauryan era. So again, thousands of years back, Mauryan civilization was there, their kingdom was present. They had created, we found it during excavation, that how beautifully they could have created without any advanced tools. Or the statue of Gautam Buddha in a meditative form. Or Kalkhand statue of Jain Tirthankars. The caves of Ellora of Rashtrakuta dynasty. You will be learning about this Rashtrakuta dynasty's caves structure in the form of Ajanta and Ellora. By seeing this heritage, we definitely feel proud, glad, and also respect for our cultural heritage. We will be keeping this much for today, and will be again coming back tomorrow. Till then, stay safe, stay at home, and do study. Thank you.